This is the combined work and regular session of the Mayor and Council meeting, Borough of Allendale, January 15th, 7 p.m. Linda, will you please call the meeting to order and read the Open Public Meeting Act announcement?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and on the borough website, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger. Councilman O'Connell. Councilman O'Toole.
Here.
Councilwoman Lovasolo.
Here.
Councilwoman Homan.
Here.
Councilman Delavatio.
Here.
Councilman Yakarino.
Present.
Mayor Wilzinski.
Here. Stand to salute the flag.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so the agenda today, we have two proclamations. I'm actually going to switch the order. And then we're going to be swearing in our fire department officer. So once we do the presentations and fire department, I will do agenda review. So first we will start with proclamation. And thank you, Karen Clark. I think that's right there. Oh, there you go. For bringing this to our very important topic to our attention. This is a proclamation for the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking. Whereas human trafficking is among the world's fastest growing criminal enterprises and its profits from the exploitation of vulnerable populations, including minors and adults. Whereas nearly 26 years after the passing of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, an estimated 27.6 million people are subject to human trafficking globally, with cases reporting in every U.S. state and territory. Whereas human trafficking is a borderless crime against individuals that violates the most basic human rights and deprives victims of every shred of their personal freedom. And whereas human trafficking occurs when a person is recruited, harbored, or obtained through force, fraud, or coercion for the purposes of sexual or labor exploitation. Whereas victims can be U.S. citizens or non-citizens, it can be any age or gender, but they have a shared experience of having been forced, tricked, manipulated, or threatened into compliance with the criminals seeking to exploit them. Whereas broad public awareness of human trafficking that is informed by the lived experience of survivors brave enough to share their knowledge is best practice when seeking to understand and prevent trafficking. And whereas large sporting events, I did not realize this, like the World Cup, are known to increase the demand for sex trafficking victims. And the World Cup in particular has been associated with labor trafficking cases, including construction, hospitality, retail industries, etc. It is especially important to educate our communities and raise awareness before, during, and after this event. Whereas New Jersey's MetLife Stadium will host 8 matches of the 2026 FIFA World Cup from June 11, 2026 for over 5 weeks, included the World Cup final on July 19th, along with FanFest and Liberty State Park along the Jersey Shore and other locations. Whereas the signing into law of New Jersey's 2013 Prevention, Protection, and Treatment Act officially declared January as Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the state, and specifically declared January 11th as Human Trafficking Awareness Day. Whereas the Borough of Allendale stands committed to protecting human rights and individual freedom by raising awareness of human trafficking. And whereas the Borough of Allendale is resolved to support the goals and ideals of observing a month of human trafficking prevention during January of each year, and to support all the efforts by individuals, businesses, organizations, and governing bodies to raise awareness of and opposition to trafficking. Whereas the Borough of Allendale is resolved to make additional efforts to keep its residents aware of the warning signs, survivor information, prevention messaging, and how to respond in case of suspected trafficking before, during, and after the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Whereas the Borough of Allendale is committed to ensuring that those impacted by human trafficking receive services that are trauma-informed and responsive to their individual needs. Whereas the borough commends the work of the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking for its survivors' inclusive efforts to end human trafficking in our state and beyond, through education, advocacy, and assistance to survivors, and to increase coordination and visibility of New Jersey's commitment to end human trafficking. I, therefore, Amy Lizinski, Mayor of the Borough of Allendale, on behalf of the Borough Council, hereby proclaim January of each year as Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the Borough of Allendale to raise awareness about the signs and consequences of human trafficking, to promote opposition to human trafficking in all of its forms, and to encourage support for survivors of human trafficking throughout the state of New Jersey and across the world to put an end to this criminal activity and restore freedom and dignity to its survivors. Thank you very much. I think they wanted a picture of it.
I took a picture of you reading it.
Okay, and so I have this here if you want to take that, so. Okay, on a lighter note, much lighter note. Oh. Okay. Now, proclamation for the rededication of Franklin Turnpike in Allendale, New Jersey. Proclamation for the rededication of Franklin Turnpike in Allendale, whereas the year 2026 marks the 250th anniversary of American independence, providing a fitting opportunity to honor the true patriots who sacrificed for our nation's founding. And whereas Franklin Turnpike in Allendale currently bears the name of William Franklin, the last royalist governor of New Jersey who betrayed the American cause by serving as a British spy, organizing the Associated Loyalists to fight against patriots and ultimately fleeing to Great Britain after the war. Whereas this road passes by the historic home of John Fell, a true patriot who led Bergen County resistance against the British occupation, endured 8 months of imprisonment for liberty, kept a secret diary detailing the British jail's horrid conditions, and later served in the Continental Congress, where he voted to ratify our Constitution. And whereas Benjamin Franklin stands as one of America's most distinguished founding fathers, being the only person to sign all 4 founding documents of our nation, securing the crucial French alliance that won our independence and making groundbreaking scientific discoveries that brought international acclaim to America. And whereas Benjamin Franklin founded our nation's first public library, fire company, hospital, and the academy that became the University of Pennsylvania, while his leadership during the Constitutional Convention helped forge our enduring system of government. And whereas it is manifestly inappropriate that a road passing a patriot's home should honor one who betrayed the very cause for which that patriot suffered. Therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Amy Lizinski, the Mayor of Borough of Allendale, on behalf of the Borough Council and all of our residents, do hereby call upon the community to right this historical wrong by rededicating our little portion of Franklin Turnpike to honor Benjamin Franklin, a true architect of the American liberty, rather than his traitorous son, who fought against everything this nation represents, ensuring that our street names reflect our values and properly honor those who sacrificed for the freedoms we enjoy today. Just for this year.
Huzzah. Don't leave your shirt, Amy. Come on.
Amy's got to.
So this is, we're having a little fun with this, people. This is nothing official with the county. There's going to be no change to any name on Franklin Turnpike. There's going to be no additional signs on Franklin Turnpike. He's our founding father. It's the 250th year of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. He's the founding father and one of the signers. We're just having a little fun. It's our little secret in Allendale, and our little section is going to be named after Ben Franklin in the year 2020.
We dedicated it.
Okay. All right. Now we have swearing in of our fire department officers. Come on up.
Yay.
I'm trying not to run me over.
Okay, repeat after me and state your name and your. I state your name.
You wanna hold it up?
You want to hold it? There you
There
go.
you go. There you go, bud.
Yes. Finish. I state your name.
I, Greg. I, John Meister, first captain. I, Christopher Lewis, second captain.
I, Dana Meyer, person.
Do solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and the governments established
in the United States and in this state
in the United States and this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of first captain.
okay, I hear you.
Thanks.
Of the Borough of Allendale,
Of the Borough of Allendale,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, everybody.
Excuse me there. How are you? As well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm just gonna see. Jim's gonna control, right?
That's it. I am not.
Okay. And they might have to. Perfect, thank you. So on behalf of the residents and the governing body, I really want to thank all of Allendale Fire Department for your commitment to protect our families, our homes, and our neighbors. We're very proud to stand with you and grateful for the dedication that you all bring to our department, and we wish you safety, strength, and success in every call that you answer. And congratulations to Dana. Is this the first female? Second female to hold this position.
Yay.
Next, we have approval of minutes. 2025 Synodiah and the 2026 reorg. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lovasolo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Homan,
yes.
Councilman Delavatio,
Staying on board?
Councilman Yakarino.
Yes.
So I am going to review our consent agenda and the rest of the agenda. Consent agenda are items that are listed as routine and they're usually enacted in one motion. However, there's a lot on this one. And I want to highlight some of them so everybody knows what's going on. So we have some tax adjustments from the county. We are approving our budget transfers. We do this every year at the beginning of the year. We actually have the approval for Allendale Festival Day already. And we are waiving the special events permit fee for that. So we are in support of our chamber and all they do for our town. We're also approving the Allendale Holiday Walk, really getting ahead of ourselves. We have a resolution opposing S 4736. This is another what do I call it? Piece of legislation that wants to bypass our local zoning laws. This is on top of everything that we just went through with our fourth round housing, which we are going to talk about a little bit later. I'll talk about that in my mayor's report. But this piece of legislation brought up by senators in South Jersey want to bypass local zoning laws, allow for high density. They want to bypass parking regulations. So in other words, not having the proper amount of parking spots, especially if you're near transit. They want to have rezoning for religious institutions up to 50 units per acre and nonprofit organizations up to 50 units per acre. And to top it all up, they also want to allow ADUs. These are something that's called accessory dwelling units, where you're allowed to put like a mini house in your backyard. So these are all things that will severely alter the character of our town, and this is a resolution opposing that. We also have a resolution to approve of the Ramadan lighting in February. We have a resolution entering into shared service agreement with Village or Village of Bridgewood for expanded styrofoam recycling. We actually are establishing some rental fees, nothing crazy, but for any type of parties for residents, a nominal fee for residents, and then another fee for non-residents if anybody wants to use the community center for events. Our nonprofits are all still. Let's see, we're putting in for a grant. We literally put in for almost every grant that comes our way. So this one was a grant for parks, so we put it in for some field improvements. Let's see, we're going to do another shared service agreement with the town of Ramapo with our police and the firing range. We have a resolution approving state contract vendors. And then these resolutions at the end, these are very important, and these are going to be intertwined in my report and in Councilwoman Holman's report. But we actually have a resolution that is authorizing the execution of our mediation agreement with Fair Share Housing. I will go into this more in my mayor's report, but this was a long time coming with a lot of work. And I think everybody in Annandale is going to be very pleased of what the agreement that we came to. There is also an agreement between Allendale and Avalon Bay, which we'll get into a bit later when I give my mayor's report. And there's also an agreement with a sewer connection agreement between the borough of Allendale and the borough of Southborough. So that is the consent agenda. And so right now I'd like to open up the public for comments on any agenda items. Maybe James.
No one's Steve Williams.
Huh?
Not about an agenda item.
Really?
Well,
It's
proclamation.
Yeah, the proclamation's an agenda item. All right.
This is something about the salary.
Okay, so then do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Second, please.
Holman.
Councilman O'Toole.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lovasolo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Homan,
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio,
Yes.
Councilman Yakarino.
Yes.
Council reports.
Mayor, first of all, congratulations and thank you for the officers who were sworn this evening. And of course, as always, a heartfelt thank you to the entire fire department, Thank you for all you guys do. As a volunteer organization, to keep us all safe. Get nothing to know all night, take care of you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Public Safety Committee had our first meeting of the new year this week on Tuesday. We covered quite a bit of ground. Our newest officer is Christopher Locks, is doing very well.
Brought him today.
He's out there.
Not there.
We have, exams coming up for lieutenant sergeants. We have a number of our, men and women taking those. We discussed our e-bike ordinance, which is coming along. We're looking at other towns, what they're doing to make sure that it is both safe for those who want to utilize e-bikes and e-scooters, as well as for pedestrians and motorists. It's very common sense. It's more educational than punishing. We're looking at doing, finding a date for coffee with a cop and the mayor and council. On the fire department front, we talked about, our ladder truck, which is always a hot topic of conversation. And, finally, we are circling for our next blood drive, a date of March 31st. And Dr. Letizia texted me a couple of days ago, to let me know that officially the Gary Letizia Memorial Blood Drive is the largest, most successful drive in the state by over 500 times.
I should put that there.
Exactly. I'm happy to be a small part of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Council President Lovasolo.
Thank you, Mayor. I just echo Councilman O'Toole's words about our fire department. Thank you so much for all you do. As someone who lost Lake House in when was that, March, to a fire, I so appreciate everything that you guys do and the risk that you take every time you help people out. Truly appreciate it. Thank you. Our next land use council, next land use committee meeting will be Tuesday, January 27th. So I'll report on that after we have that. And finance soon as we start
It's
for
ongoing.
budgeting. Yeah, so we continue to get our ducks in a row with all that for the upcoming year. Thank you as always to our CFO, Allison Otana. A little something to report out on Lee Memorial Library. They are planning for the future and understanding what our community members need and want from their library is valuable to Lee Memorial Library. The survey of community needs went live on Monday, and the library is asking all residents to participate. Links are available on the library website and through the newsletter and other community newsletters. Paper copies are also available at the library. Your voice matters and your ideas will help guide our next steps for the library. They are looking to possibly do an expansion, so they want to get a gauge on what everyone's looking for in the library and what you currently use it for. For adults, in addition to the recurring offerings, they are continuing their series of cooking classes, which have been very popular. The library will be partnering with the John Fell House for a special program on Sunday, January 25th at 2 p.m. at the community center. Jim Wright will be presenting The Turncoat and the Patriot. This program will focus on New Jersey Colonial Governor William Franklin and Patriot John Fell of Allendale and their roles during the Revolutionary War. Bring the kids. And speaking of the kids, they're featuring a watercolor workshop about Arctic animals on January 21st. On the 22nd, the library will have a special Kids Can Volunteer event celebrating the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. Kids will learn how they can make a positive difference through volunteering. The children will be assembling snack packs and toiletry kits for local organizations. For America 250, our year-long project of celebrating this momentous year, we have reached out and encouraging organizations, businesses, and residents in town to think of fun ways to celebrate the year. I know that John Fell House is working on some things, and this tonight was, I think, a wonderful start to this fun year. As mentioned on January 25th, local writer and historian Jim Wright, seated in the front here, will be giving a fascinating presentation on William Franklin Turnpike, except for our stretch of Allendale, was named after, and local hero John Fell. So make sure you get to that. And that's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Coleman.
Yes, thank you very much. And I also would all want to say just thank you so much to the fire department and all that you do and all the training you have to go through and bringing together a great team to volunteer in Allendale. So thank you so much. Congratulations also, but thank you so much for your service. And as far as water, there has been numerous water breaks in Allendale. And each time I get a notification about the water break, I say, thank goodness we do not own the system, because managing these water breaks is a lot. And I thank Andy and the police department for helping. I mean, they're at nighttime, and Andy has consistently communicated with Veolia the break on the corner of Myrtle and West Crescent. That construction and repair not gotten done during the middle of the night, it really would have impeded traffic flow coming at the start of the day. So I'm very appreciative of that. Things also continue to move forward with the construction of the PFAS, permanent PFAS facility that will be built down at New Street. And there are also continued lead and copper rule that Veolia must now comply to all of the regulations for the state. And they will be continuing to dig and identify if there is any possible lead or galvanized lines. So it's something that sometimes seems like, there's, another dig going on, but it really is to protect homeowners and residents in a particular home, whether they're a renter or not, and to comply with the state regulations.
And it's free. Veolia is paying for this. In other towns, the residents actually have to pay for it. So
Yeah, there are
We
some
just
towns,
opted in.
pardon?
We just opted in.
Yeah, in some towns they will charge residents over a period of time. So yes, obviously that always in some way comes back to water rates, which the mayor and I are meeting with Veolia next week to discuss a potential rate case increase that will be discussed at the BPU. This is a year where Allendale does, on the contract that we have with Veolia, have a increase of 5%. It would be great to keep it at that. So we will be looking to the BPU. Amy and I have been in communication with individuals. We have registered as an intervener. Thank you, Ray Wiss, for completing that for us, which means we get all of the information on this particular rate case. And then what Mayor Wilsinski had mentioned before of the resolution 2686, we are going to be signing an agreement with Saddle River that was really, I think, well done in the fact that there are developments that are going in Saddle River, Avalon Bay being the most recent one that had been approved by Saddle River, and really wanted to have a direct agreement with Allendale, and under no circumstances were we going to have an agreement with a developer. It is only acceptable for us, and we've maintained steady in this, that if we are accepting sewage that is coming from the borough of Saddle River or anywhere else, that they need to have an agreement with the borough, because we don't get anybody's tax dollars from there. So we negotiated, I think, a very good agreement, and we were obviously mandated by the court to originally sign a TWA permit. So I think we did really well. And to that, and Mayor Wilsinski is going to talk more about the other agreements, but I just have to say, as a resident, I cannot thank Mayor Amy Wilsinski enough. As a council person, I get to see the intelligence and the tirelessness and the tenacity that she works with, but I don't know how to get it out into the community. She was working with Ray Witz and with the team that she put together for days leading up to, New Year's Eve. And it just is absolutely tireless work. And we have so much to be thankful for. So you put together a great group of resources to work with, and you did an unbelievable job. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to echo and congratulate our Allendale Fire Department. Several years ago, we had a fire in this community. My neighbor lost somebody, so there's not a day that goes by that I don't pass that house and think about the bravery and the effort that you guys put forth. So I want to thank you for that. It's definitely lucky to have such great volunteers. So thank you for that. DPW has not met since our last meeting. We actually are scheduled to meet tomorrow. So I really don't have anything to report. I just want to thank Superintendent Guglielmo for the efforts with the snow and ice and things that the DPW has done to keep the roads safe and sidewalks clear and everything else. So thank you for that. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Yakarino.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you and congratulations to the fire department. My grandfather was a Richwood fireman for almost 40 years. So we come from a family of firemen, and my father was emergency services for the Port Authority for another 37 years. So I understand and I greatly appreciate it. So thank you all. You're all wonderful. I'll keep my report brief. We do have an Allendale Sports Alliance and Rec Commission meeting coming up within the first 2 weeks of February. So we'll be planning ahead for the year and discussing new initiatives. The spring sports is coming up. So I'll save a lengthy report for that time. So, thank you.
All right, staff reports, CFO Borough
Okay.
Administrator Allison McConnell.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations to all the officers sworn in today. I'm going to keep it short as well. I spoke with the auditors today and they're going to be starting work on the 2025 annual financial statements within the next week or two, which is great. It's being done much earlier than past years and it always holds up the budget a little bit. So maybe we'll get the budget introduced sooner. In the meanwhile, we've been busy applying for, as the mayor said, possibly every grant that's come our way so far this week for future projects, analyzing prior year data and coming up with a solid budget. We have not had a finance committee meeting in the new year yet, but in the meanwhile, we're just, going through analyzing and focusing on this year's expenses. This way, by the time we sit down, we're going to be pretty good to go. And lastly, for anybody who may or may not have seen it, the borough is hosting a 250th anniversary flag design contest. So the contest runs through February 24th, and it's for all Allendale kids from ages 7 to 12. The submissions will be presented in the community center once the contest closes. So we'll put it in the hallway, so all of them will be up. And the winner will have their flag featured on the cover page of our newsletters for the remainder of the year. And we'll also be taking the flag and turning them into stickers to have at various events as giveaways. I think the flyer went out yesterday, so yeah, so something fun for the kids. And that's it.
Thank you. Our clerk, what else do you know?
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report from the clerk's office. I just want to congratulate the officers who got sworn in today.
It's working out phenomenal, and thank you very much.
Great.
There's potential for another wintry weather coming this weekend. DPW continues to pick up Christmas trees. They're currently on the east side of town. Just a reminder to residents to please not put the Christmas trees in bags. They're just supposed to be the trees. They're just supposed to be put out to the curb. The Green Team has a collection event coming up this weekend at Borough Hall from 10 to noon on Saturday the 17th. They're collecting EPS, reusable bags, food, and a coat collection. Lastly, congrats to Fire Chief Greg Anderson and the rest of the Allendale Fire officers at the morning. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna have my report before we have Ray do his report. I wanted to talk about our fair share housing, because this is actually a monumental day that we come to this agreement. When the fourth round was coming up, we were very proactive and we assembled a team of experts, including Ray Wiss, another fair share housing lawyer, a planner, Councilwoman Holman, and Council President Lovasolo, myself. And we really were trying to form a plan. We updated our master plan and we also did what's called a hazard vulnerability study, which identifies vulnerable areas in the town that have been affected by climate and flooded areas. So this was in addition to our master plan. And this is important, you'll see later, because it really did set us up for success in the long run. And that was the whole idea behind this. When we got our number was massive. It was 260. That's affordable units. You always have to take that number and you have to multiply it by 5, because developers, that's the ratio that they have figured out that they can make a profit. There's three factors that determine that number. One is the equalized non-residential allocation factor. It's confirmed by our tax assessor. There's nothing we can do about that. The second is the income capacity allocation factor, and this is derived from census records. There's nothing we could do about that. And the third is the land capacity allocation factor, and this is where the number was flawed. For example, they said that we had 24 buildable acres in Allendale. We absolutely do not. They identified all the areas that were completely not buildable. So this was the number that we could at least go in with and challenge. And we did, and our projected need then was adjusted from 260 to 200, still a massive number. And remember, this is the fourth round. The third round, we still had a massive number, and we still have this like unmet need. So what happens is if the borough and the municipality lacks sufficient land for 200 units times 5,000 units, which we do, you have to identify an adjusted number, which is your realistic development potential. Our number was adjusted to 4. So 4 was what we call the RDP. But you can't just like forget about all the rest of the number. So you actually have to take that number and you have to address it. And you have to find different areas of the borough land that you have to adjust it to. This is called the unmet need. So we have an unmet need from our last round of a couple hundred, and we have a couple hundred on an unmet need from this round because we don't have available land. So it's almost like this black cloud that's, over our municipality, but it's all municipalities. It's not just us. But we had to create these overlay zones, and this is where the thing has got like a little bit dicey. So as Councilwoman Homan mentioned, Saddle River has all of their fair share housing on our border. Saddle River does not have infrastructure for all of this building. One of our lawyers called them paper buildings because basically they are, but they have literally 500 units going in and no infrastructure to support it. And it was this battle back and forth. So they came to us and they wanted to use our sewer, and we said, absolutely not. And then the judge basically told us, yes, they have to use your sewer. So the judge demanded us, forced us to sign, me to sign, called it a TWA, allowing this monster project of 275 units by Avalon Bay, right on our border, to come through our sewer system. So we appealed. There's a lot more to the story, back and forth. They wound up suing Saddle River for $100 million. And then this back and forth, they dropped it. It's too dicey to get in all of the weeds. But what Fair Share Housing wanted us to do is start looking at our downtown. And they wanted us to put 3 to 4 stories on our little downtown. So they wanted us to have this big kind of tall corridor on Allendale and our main street. And we just said, no way. And it was back and forth, and there was this back and forth. The challenge that we had with Fair Share Housing is that we didn't have any shovel in the ground driven projects, and Saddle River did. And it became known very quickly that they wanted Fair Share Housing, they wanted Avalon Bay. Like there was no way that they wanted this project. It was in their props that they had to have this project. So we held on as long as we could because we wanted something for it. We're like, we're not just gonna, they obviously have to pay sewer fees and all that, but we wanted something else. We're like, this is, not very fair. So we held out as long as we can. And we pushed and we had leverage because we had the appeal on the TWA. I hope everybody's following. I know it's kind of confusing, but the happy ending of this story is that we did not have to put any of our overlay zone on our downtown. Our overlay zone now is on Borough Line Road, which will not affect the character of our town. And in addition, we got $500,000 from Avalon Bay, which was really unheard of because it's a project that's not even in our town. So we got off-site improvements of $500,000 from Avalon Bay. We used that leverage, made Fair Share Housing happy. We got what we wanted, and we got approval for our plan. So that's what was actually on the agenda this evening, was the Fair Share Housing Plan, as well as the agreement of Avalon Bay to pay us $500,000. And as well as the sewer agreement with which Councilwoman Homan was talking about, because they were really pushing us to have this agreement with Avalon Bay. And the problem like with this fair share housing, it happens every like 10 years. And a lot of mayors and council are not around for 10 years. So they just say, whatever, we don't care, we don't care. So they kick it down the road and we didn't want that. We didn't want down the road to have Avalon Bay be in charge of our sewer line if something happened. So we made sure that Allendale was secure for decades to come, that if anything happened with that sewer line, that we could go right after Saddle River. So the process was crazy. The commitment to our team was significant. Hundreds and hundreds of hours to get this done with our planners, attorneys, administrators, staff, engineers. Quite frankly, all these funds could have been used to build affordable housing, but this is just how this process works. It's a very complex system. It's a very flawed system, in my opinion, and very disorganized system. But this issue, it's far beyond Allendale. It's all across New Jersey. And the unmet need, that kind of black cloud that I was talking about, this big number, it's every town has it. And if that's all built out throughout New Jersey, where it's just going to be, it's going to be absolutely crazy. The sad part about all of this is that these numbers that they give you, they have no market studies done. They don't know if there's any jobs. There's no, a lot of times there's no schools. If they can't handle it, doesn't matter. Environmental impact. Oh, when I was talking about the environmental impact, the hazard vulnerability study, that helped us with our downtown because some of that area was a flood zone. So that was part of our defense to get the overlay zone out of our downtown. So anyway, we did it. We're here. I really think everybody's been, the town should be very, very pleased with our settlement because it's not going to affect us like some other towns. And for our 4 units that we have to do, we're not going to have to build another Vale or another, larger complex because we are extending deed restrictions. So we have 6 units that their deed restriction from prior rounds is coming due. We're extending those deed restrictions. So for our realistic development potential, or RDP, this round, we will not have to be building anything for the next year.
How many units have to go in Berlin?
So we had to increase the density from 15 units per acre to 24 units per acre. So it's probably around three and change. Significant. Definitely
So
significant.
think about that new legislation that's saying 50.
Oh, yes.
More than 4.
Okay, and lastly, our report from our borough attorney, Greg Witz.
Oh, sorry, you guys.
Glad you got it.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, if anybody needed to be reassured of how immersed the mayor is in the process and how knowledgeable, it's almost hard to follow that presentation. But, I've had the pleasure of being borough attorney for more than a decade now, and we've had some rather big nights. I'm thinking of the Veolia transaction that Councilman Holman talked about, where basically all municipal debt, all utility debt was forgiven, and looking forward, the costs of repair and upkeep of an old system has been avoided and probably unquantifiable in the amount of dollars that might be spent by the community over the ensuing years. I'm thinking of the Hampshire transaction that led to the community center being there, another a big win for the community. I'm thinking of our environmental liability lawsuit where we settled and had about $1 million settlement for the borough. All big nights. But I think that, lest it be understated, this agenda is one of the biggest nights that we've ever had. And for a lot of reasons that the mayor and councilman Holman alluded to. It's probably very easy to talk about, having a good team. But here, I think that really needs to be accentuated. The mayor leading the team, Councilwoman Holman, Councilwoman Lovasella, our special counsel, our borough engineer, Mike Freeland, and our planner, Ed Sneakus. We really all work together. And the reference to New Year's Eve, that wasn't by way of analogy, that was the day. This was literally put together, and that was the legislative day on which either settlements had to be achieved or you wind up in the litigation process. So this was worked on by a team literally almost round the clock, whether it was 7 o'clock in the morning or it was emails being exchanged in the evening. This was a major undertaking by a group of dedicated people. In terms of outcome, and the mayor alluded to some of this, there were very formidable challenges that the borough faced in putting together its deal. I've been known to sit around a poker table two in my time. I'm not sure I want to play poker with the mayor because she basically stood down some significant obstacles here, and some of which she alluded to. We had our neighbors in Saddle River who had an affordable housing project on our border. Actually, two, one, the Avalon Bay one that was alluded to, and also their own inclusionary project. They do not have infrastructure. They do not have sewers. So we are the one that needs to facilitate that. And apparently, the players that they do not view that to be an impediment, that we have to, according to them, welcome with open arms projects that are not within our borders, while trying to address the future projects that may be within our borders. So one of the things we did face was a little bit of I'll say, an adversarial relationship with Saddle River in terms of their desire and Fair Share Housing's desire that we accommodate what we've referred to as the Michaels 2 project, which is an inclusionary project on Saddle River. And secondly, as the mayor said, the Avalon Bay project was an insistence by both, well, really by Fair Share Housing Council that it had to be done. So in the wake of that, we had the numbers that the mayor referred to, that they were threatening us with the density that Allendale was facing, a complete redo of the downtown area, 3-story buildings, really changing the face of the community downtown. And the mayor and her team basically hung in there and said, unless we get our way in terms of no zoning of the downtown, the decrease in the density, the overlay only being in really our Bordertown Road area, and I think all that became very, very important. That was the stare down poker game that ultimately resulted in what I think is, if it's not capitulation, it was near capitulation by Fair Share Housing in saying, Mayor, you get the downtown area preserved, you get the density reductions. We agreed to accommodate the projects in Saddle River, and then to boot, and we went through the litigation process and played it again a little stare down poker game on that one. We get $500,000 from the developer of the Avalon Bay project for accommodating their sewer flow. And that's not a small number to pick up $500,000 to comply with our obligation. So, when I talk about good days, a good day is having our 4th round approved, which gives us an immunity from builder's remedy for the next decade. Very, very important. It's a plan that maintains the character of the community. Very, very important. It should not impact on any residential areas in the town. Very, very important. It solves a problem with a lawsuit, which now gets to be settled, and somebody gets to write a $500,000 check to the borough. So when I talk about good days, I think when we put all those pieces together, we take it every time. So Mayor, my commendations and kudos to you and the team you put together.
Thank you very much. Right. Any unfinished or new business?
Can I just say?
Wait, hold on. Public comments coming up.
No, I think I want the agenda, I understand how it all works.
Oh, wait, well, you can, 1 second.
Okay.
Any unfinished or new business? Now I'd like to open up to the public. Yay!
First of all, I want to thank you.
State your name and address.
Who are you?
You're right, sorry. And I didn't.
You're the troublemaker in town.
And I first want to thank you for the name change to the Franklin Turnpike.
Not a new
It's much
change.
appreciated, so thank you.
The temporary
The new name. I'd just like to ask if we could change the name Allendale Avenue.
Very funny, very funny.
Which Alan would you like to pick?
So here tonight for a couple of reasons. One is just to bring up a problem at the Celery Farm with skaters. Back in the day, it was a local skating rink. Local people just come and skate. Now with texting and all kinds of communications, the Celery Farm skating is being overrun by outsiders. And Salary Farm volunteers are equipped to deal with skaters who are dealing with raccoons or something in that people, alcoholic drinking, littering, vandalism, this whole list of things. But one thing that the council could do, I really appreciate, and I've talked to Mike Lumatola and the Fike board about this, change the hours of the Salary Farm from dawn to dusk. Having half hour before and half hour after dusk, because people are skating at night and very hard to enforce parking on the sidewalk, etc. So we're gonna come up with a list of rules. Hopefully we can post in the winter saying, skating at your own risk, that's another
We do
concern.
have signs, yeah, that say that all over, yeah.
Probably not where people are. Anyway, there's a whole list of things we need to say, no drinking, no parking on the sidewalk, whole list of things like that.
Mhm.
And I'd love for the town to be important to change the curfew at least, or the hours, the operating hours.
That's a land use, we'll bring that up at our next land use meeting,
That'd be
stuff
great.
it in our committee, thank you.
And the other thing I could mention is, long-term, the Salary Farms Lake is shrinking, like many lakes all around. And if something isn't done, we're gonna lose the lake.
Phragmites,
Yes, Phragmites is the biggest
we
challenge.
had that issue in Crestwood Lake, actually,
Yeah.
that we've been dealing with in the past 5 years, and this latest treatment was very successful.
Yeah, so we need to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, we're
with
gonna
the Salary
talk about
Farm.
that.
And at the very least, the Salary Farm would love to ask the town's grant writers to help write grants to help pay for the Phragmites removal.
Yeah, no, we definitely, it's a 5-year process, I think that we
We have
have.
a report done by David Epstein, the Land
Okay.
Conservancy of New Jersey, and I can pass that along to everybody.
Okay, yeah, please,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public wish to speak on any matter? Come on up, state your name and address, please.
My name is Kevin Floyd. I live at 57 Meeker Avenue. I just wanted to say thank you so much for what you guys are doing on the fair share of housing. As somebody who's about to be AICP certified, American Institute of Certified Planners, it is a very challenging issue that we're facing. I was
Yeah,
curious.
that's interesting. I said that to our planner too, like, it goes against all planning principles that you all go to school for. And that defies everything that you've learned. So it is frustrating for planners. I'm sorry.
Yes, definitely. And it's definitely unique in the sense that we're one of the only states in the country that's constitutionally mandated, I know.
Mhm.
The question that I had is, if additional housing had to be constructed, is there any way that there would be a provision where co-ops would be able to be included in that?
There's not a restriction on the nature of the resultant entity. So, a project could go forward as a condo, apartment, co-op. So that the law does not restrict the nature of the entity that develops the project.
Okay, because I was gonna ask if, just in future consideration, if something like a co-op maybe was to come up, a smaller co-op, that might be a good idea, because I figure, people who want to stay and live in Allendale for their whole lives and the process of aging in place, like you can live there from the time you're born to the time you die.
Mhm.
Co-ops have proven to be really successful in that, and I was curious if the borough ever looked into doing something like that, whether the state permits something like that, or whether we could try and put pressure on our state legislators to try and tell them, like, listen, why can't we include co-ops as part of this solution to, like.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anything that proscribes it, but you're 100% right that it has not, I say, caught the fancy of any developers. I'm assuming in part is since the developers make their money off of these projects and include the 20% set aside as the inclusionary, the money is in other things beside co-ops.
Okay, and then I guess the other question I had was, I know that this is something that's been ongoing with the church having, the guardian of the church issue. Is there a plan that if that church does close, what will happen to that land? Does the town have a plan started for that?
So I had a meeting with the bishop And actually, I just involved in this other group who also met with Bishop. And it was actually a very excellent meeting, and we all feel very good about it, and we feel very good about the future of the church. And how it was explained to us by the bishop was that if that church is not a church anymore, which isn't necessarily going to happen because it is a solvent church and it's actually growing in numbers. But if it was to, that would not be sold and the money would not go to the archdiocese. It would be something else that's kind of like a church related, and it has to go in front of a committee. And it would be something that does help, like some Christian type ministry type work.
Well, that's,
And yes, and they were very adamant about that. He was very clear about that. The whole reason for all this consolidation, there's just a lot of areas, for example, that might have 5 churches in a town and there's no Catholics left in that town. There's a lot of churches that are in old buildings that are costing hundreds of thousands of years in repairs. It just doesn't make any sense. There's some churches that are literally adjacent to each other, one right next to the other. And, quite frankly, the attendance has declined. I feel very good that we're in very good shape at Guardian Angel. We actually had the most amount of responses to the bishop. Our name is definitely in their head and on their radar. So I feel very comfortable with it. I think the bishop was just very smart businessman and was just trying to kind of be logical about it. But he's not really looking to close down any churches where the community is vibrant as ours.
I just have 2 more questions. Is that okay? To ask me more? Okay, so the other question I was gonna ask you, is there an opposition to building housing on church land by the Borough Council? Is that, I thought that was said before, or?
Oh, so no, it's not necessarily that it's church land. It's that it is foregoing local zoning laws.
Oh,
And they are the ones in this law that specify churches and nonprofits at the density of 50 units per acre.
okay.
Probably for the reason that some of the nonprofits are, retail.
Yeah, I was just curious, because I know some churches that have had convents in the past, or schools converted their schools and
Yeah,
convents.
it's not
into
that we're
housing.
against it, it's just this piece of legislature and high density.
And then on the issue of e-bikes and bikes in town, is there any looking into like implementing bike infrastructure in the town? Particularly downtown, maybe like bike racks, or like looking at a way to make the downtown more biker friendly with the parking situation?
Do you want to address that?
We haven't
Public safety.
specifically discussed that. But I think that downtown is a little congested to really make that done properly. So what we're trying to do with our e-bike legislation is more, like I said, more educational. Talk to people about how to ride properly, how to ride harmoniously with, pedestrians and motorists. Just try to make it safer for everybody. I don't think that anyone is opposed to bike racks of some sort, but I don't know what that would look.
Yeah, I don't even know that regular bike racks would fit those bikes. I know that the school doesn't even allow them on school property anymore. They don't allow them to go on there. It's challenging, but we're gonna look at it. If there's anything that can help, as Matt said, them be more harmonious with cars and pedestrians, we would absolutely do it.
I mean, there's no debating that they are very useful for quite a lot of people. But, it has to be.
There's just, there's no
I guess one of
regulation.
the reasons I asked it is I'm a daily commuter to New York City, and I ride my bike to the train station here, and it's so helpful that the bike racks are there. But I don't know if they ever come, the NJ Transit people, if we could ask for more bike racks, just because.
Yeah, I
They
think
fill
that's
up,
probably a
they
good
fill
call
up
for them,
really
actually.
quick in the morning.
Yeah.
So,
So that's the request, is what I'm saying, that they can park.
Yeah.
Secure.
Yeah.
yeah, that would be super helpful, just because I love riding I prefer that to driving my car. It's easier to just chain up, get some fresh air, and. Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin.
Anybody else from the public wish to speak on any items? Didn't see about that. All right, well then, motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.